In this video, I'm going to be choosing the photography gear that I'm going to be using in 2024. Sacrifices will be made. So out on the table in front of me is all of the photography gear that I used in 2023. We got the Canon EOS R, we have the Olympus, our Platypod stuff, all of the gear and accessories for the Platypod gear, diffusers. You go on and go on. I've got a lot of gear. Now, the purpose for this video and the culling of the equipment is to get everything into one bag. And the situation where I would use the gear that's in that bag is for personal projects. So if I have an image in my head that I want to go out and get, or if I want to go and photograph a dragonfly, this is the gear I'm going to take. Now, the stuff that we're not going to take is not going to be sold on. It's going to be placed onto the shelf over here, so that if a future project comes up that I need that particular gear for, I can grab it off the shelf and take it. This is the culling down of the gear for personal projects. And as you can see, we have a lot of gear. I'm going to go through it each bit at a time, and I will explain to you why I'm getting rid of certain pieces. Let's start with the tripod. This is a budget-friendly tripod from Nuria, carbon fiber with a Manfrotto head. If you watched the previous video I'll link up here about the videography gear, you'll know I've upgraded my video camera to a Sony ZV-E1. One of the reasons I did that was for the stabilization. The wife no longer needs to lock it off on a tripod, which means I can use the better tripod for my photography. So we're going to retire the Nuria tripod, and we're going to be using the Suri ST224 with the Platypod on there. And the advantage of that is, as well, is if the wife does need to do any type of tripod shots, we have that tripod for that, and it is the better tripod. Background cards, they're always going to be with me. Another thing we have here is a macro focusing rail. Generally, this is used for manual focus bracketing on a camera that doesn't support focus bracketing. I'm more of a fan of moving the focusing ring if I'm doing manual bracketing, but I'll tell you what this is good for. If you're setting up your shot at night, your insect is cold, it's not moving, then instead of having to keep moving your tripod back and forward, or you moving the Platypod back and forward to try and get the focus, I can put the camera on here and I can simply turn the knob to get the focusing exactly where I want it. So this is the Nissi NM200S. But I also have a focusing rail from Irix, which is the Macro Rail 180. This video is all about getting everything into one bag and saving on space. Now, the Irix is a lot smaller, and since I'm not using this rail for actual focus bracketing, it's mostly just to nail my focus, because you don't want to move the subject back and forward because you might wake it up or disturb it. It's an absolute pain moving a tripod, especially if you're on rough ground. So putting your camera on there and then moving this knob to get your focus in perfectly is the better option. So for me, I'm going to keep hold of the Irix, and the Nissi will go onto the shelf. The Irix comes with a nice little bag that we can put it in. And all I'll say about these focusing rails is don't cheap out. They're really budget, cheap, crappy ones. They have grease all over them, so don't do that, okay? Get one that doesn't have the grease. So that can go over there, and my box can go over there somewhere. We're nailing it down quite nicely. We have my syringe for water drops and my spray bottle for water droplets. If I want to add water droplets onto any scene, I can do that. Those will be going with me. Very rarely do I use it, but it's there if I need it. Let's talk about the Platypod gear. So we have 2 Platypods along with a bunch of accessories for this. I also have the Platypod handle. So that's what I have, and it's kind of a bit of a Frankenstein setup, because I had one Platypod, I liked it. I got another Platypod, I like it, I get the accessories and so on. You know how it's like with photography. With this, I also have a Platypod elbow, 4 gooseneck arms, and 4 super clamps. The elbow is far superior to the goosenecks. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to purchase another elbow to replace these things, so they can go. They're also quite heavy, to be honest with you, okay? And I'm also going to purchase another handle as well, so I have one handle each for each Platypod. If you've got a little bit of a breeze when you're out doing focus stacking, what you can do is put the handles onto the Platypod. You put your ball heads onto there. One as your subject, one as your camera, and it means you can tuck down into a bush to guard your subject and your camera from that breeze. So that's what I will do, and that's an additional purchase I need to make over the next few weeks. We also have 2 of these. These are Platy discs. They're basically like a tripod adapter that goes onto your camera, and that will replace this plate here. So I don't need that. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty cameras. I have 2 cameras that I used last year. We have the Canon EOS R with the 100mm lower lens, and I have my Olympus camera. Both are good systems. Both of these systems produce fantastic results when doing macro photography. However, I don't have enough room in my bag to fit both of these cameras in and the video camera, so one of them has to go. The obvious one, which everyone's already guessed, is going to be the EOS R. It's big, it's bulky, it doesn't have the advantages that the Olympus has with its micro four thirds sensor, its ability to focus bracket automatically. It doesn't have none of that. So unfortunately, for my personal work, I'm going to be using the Olympus. So what we can do is get rid of the Canon. And obviously, we're not going to be using the flashes with that. We don't need the trigger or the diffuser that goes with the lighting solution for the Canon. So let's talk about this gear here. We have feet for my MF12 flashes. We ain't going to need those. We're slowly getting there. Now, for my Olympus, I have the fantastic Cygnus Tech diffuser. That's definitely stopping, as well as the flash. That's staying. But I also have a 50mm lens from Laowa. This is a 2x macro lens, which when paired with the Olympus gives a 4x macro reproduction that's equivalent to a full frame camera. Can't focus stack with it, so it's only for single shots or manual focus bracketing. So for now, at the beginning of the year, I'm going to put that on the shelf and only take it with me when I have a specific project in mind that needs that lens. So the lens I'll be taking with me on any of my particular projects will be the Olympus 60mm macro. Now to get a little bit closer, we have several options here. I have the Raynox DCR 250 or the Nissi. Me personally, and again this is all personal to me, I just prefer the Nissi. No specific reason, it's just my personal choice. So we have a diffuser, that's always going to go with me just in case the sunlight's too harsh. We also have a couple of lights. These are Lytra torches, and I had them with my Platypod Gear. But I very, very rarely use these lights out in the field. Since I had the Olympus, I much rather rely on the flash now rather than these. They're for more creative ideas. And if I have a creative idea, then I can selectively select to take out these torches rather than have them with me all the time. Talking about light, I also have a spare battery for my flash. Now I've had it since was it June that we upgraded and I had the Olympus, or was it a downgrade, depending on how you look at it. The flash has never run out of power. So for now, I'm going to put that on the shelf as well. And only if we're going out to get absolute massive stacks will I take the spare battery with me, because I don't have a spare battery for the Olympus camera anyway. But the combination of the Olympus and the flash on one battery, I've only ever used it down to about 40%. And that's when we was doing the nighttime nocturnal shoot last year, where we got this image of a damselfly. So I was shooting for, let's say, we got out there about 2. We was out there to about 6. So you're talking 4 hours shooting, continuously doing focus stacks. And we only used 60% of the power. So that's going to go on the shelf as well. So that is my photography gear that I'm going to be using for the macro season of 2024. A lot of sacrifices made, but again, I'm not getting rid of any of that gear. So if a project comes up where I need a full frame camera or I need to do manual focus bracketing, I still have the Canon EOS R on the shelf to do that with. I'm also keeping hold of the Canon EOS R so I can do reviews of up and coming lenses. I know of one lens that's coming out, but I can't talk about it, but you are going to absolutely love it. That is it for this video. This is the gear that I'm using, and as you can see, all of this gear, including my video gear, fits into my bag perfectly, and I can now get about and film a YouTube video on my own if I wish to with all this gear. So I hope you found this video entertaining, culling down my gear into just this sweet stuff that I like to use for 2024. Let me know your thoughts on this video. Also, let me know your thoughts on the choices I made, and if you've seen any piece of gear here that you want more information on, or you want me to demonstrate using the gear, then let me know in the comments below and I'll do a video for you. But that's where I'm going to leave this video, and I thank you for watching this culling down of my gear, and I'll see you on the next one. And that is the photography gear that I'm going to be using for the We also have a couple of lights. These are a pain in the arse to use. These are Lytra torches, and I had them with my plotty. I also have the plotty. I can say plotty. I also have the plotty.
Babe, you're on video, suck it in.
Thank you for sticking to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, then please subscribe and click the like button. It really does help out the channel. I want to thank my Patreon supporters for their continued support in supporting me and this channel. If you're interested in joining Patreon, then check in the description below this video for a link to Patreon. If you want to continue watching my macro journey, then click one of the videos in front of you now.